All right. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here this evening with us. We are the Nova Southeastern Halmos College of Arts and Sciences with the Marine Sciences Department for this virtual open house. My name is Brett McAllister. I'm the Director for Graduate Admissions here at the college. So again, thank you very much for being here, as well as panelists. We'll get to hear from many great faculty members and a couple of current students as well this evening. But to start off, I'd like to read an introduction from the Dean of the University. So Dean is Dean Holly Baumgartner, who's the Dean of Halmos College of Arts and Sciences, and she wants to welcome you to NSU's Halmos College of Arts and Sciences and the Guy Harvey Oceanographic Research Center. The college is NSU's intellectual and cultural foundation, firmly anchoring the university in the liberal arts and sciences necessary for the 21st century workforce on into graduate school. We engage you in the cutting-edge selection of majors, minors built on innovation models and relevant technologies. It's one of the best parts about Halmos College is saying it's the arts and the science. You're gonna have a great combination with your classes to make sure you are, you're ready to go upon graduating to continue on into your careers, which is great. And Dean Baumgartner is fantastic and is always very active out at the Oceanographic Center. Go ahead, Teddy. So I'm going to introduce my team. As I said, my name is Brett McAllister. I'm the Director of Graduate Admissions. With us this evening as well is Miss Megan Troy, who's one of my assistant directors for the department. You'll see her as well as Theodore Uwe, who the majority of you probably know, considering he runs enrollment and recruitment specifically for marine sciences, as well as we have Andrew with us this evening. He is our administrative coordinator, and he is also a current marine student, so he kind of double dips for the department. He is also the current SGA president for Halmos College of Arts and Sciences, so he's a real triple threat for us. So we're really happy to have my team with us this evening. So the facility campuses we have our main campus, which is going to be predominantly the Alvin Sherman Library and Research Information Technology Center, the Don Taft University Center, which for mostly the student union, and a majority of your classes will not be at this facility. But it is nice to know that you have access to everything on main campus you could possibly want if you decide to go over there for any reason. That includes, the student center, which is everything from dining hall, food, the gym, all that kind of stuff gives you access to it as a graduate student. You're not just stuck out at the Oceanographic Center, which is the next building that we're going to talk about this evening as well. So this is the Guy Harvey Oceanographic Research Facility, where you as a master's student will take the majority of all of your classes out there for your research, your labs, your classes, and we'll go into greater detail. We also do options for giving tours out there. So for those of you who have not already come out to see this facility, please feel free to reach out to Theodore or myself or anybody in my staff. There is an online tour setup that you can do and come visit the whole facility. It's beautiful. As it says, it is a $50 million research facility. It is top of the line. We give tours on a daily for multiple students. So I do encourage you to at some point come out and view the facility itself. It's worth the trip alone to come down and see this great facility. And it's right on the Intercoastal Waterway, which makes it even better. So we do have obviously multiple degrees within the university itself. We have everything from composition rhetoric and digital media, national security, conflict resolution studies. We do have a couple of PhDs, one being the marine sciences, the other being in Doctor of Philosophy for the conflict resolution studies. We also have a couple of biological sciences classes as well. So some of your classmates might be from a different department, but they will definitely be out there occasionally at the Oceanographic Center where you would take the majority of your classes. But we are obviously here tonight and this evening for the Marine Sciences Department, which includes also as well as the Environmental Sciences Masters of Professional Sciences on top of the PhD and the General Masters we have as well this evening. So the department chair could not be with us this evening, unfortunately, but the department chair is Bernard Riegel. Bernard Riegel is professor and department chair for NSU's Halmos College of Arts and Sciences. He is also the associate director of the National Coral Reef Institute, which is the NCRI, which for those of you that have come out, as I said, we have an onshore coral reef nursery that we'll get to see a little bit more and talk a bit more about at some point. He's received his MSc degree from the University of Vienna in Austria and a PhD degree from the University of Cape Town in South Africa. He also received the habilitation at Karl Franz University. Dr. Riegel is an editor for the International Scientific Journals in Coral Reefs and sedimentary and an editor of the book series Coral Reefs of the World. So like I said, unfortunately, he's not able to be with us this evening, but I'm sure if you had any particular questions for him, we'd be more than happy to put you in contact with him to continue that conversation further. And from there, I'm going to turn it on over to Mr. Theodore Uwe, who will take it away to talk about the rest of our faculty members that you will learn from this evening.
I'll have Emma real quick pop in and introduce herself. For many of you, as you've been working with me through the application process, I may have mentioned her name once or twice. Upon admission into any of our marine or environmental science graduate programs, you would get to be working right here with Emma. So I'll let her talk.
So my name's Emma Brennan. I am the program coordinator for Halmos College, or sorry, for the Department of Marine Environmental Sciences. I also am the academic advisor for the graduate students. So if you do apply to either our MSMS and PSE or our PhD program, I will be your academic advisor. So I'll be able to help you with all of your classes, questions, concerns, anything like that. And as being the program coordinator, I also know basically your entire curriculum from the inside out. So I can help you whenever you need help.
Thanks, Emma. And for anyone that has questions, as we get to go through the presentation today, we do have the little Q&R portion. Feel free to put those questions in the chat, and we will be answering them towards the end of the presentation, or some of my colleagues may be answering them individually. All right. So we're going to get to learn about a few of our different faculty members here, and we actually have a couple on hand. They're going to be discussing some of their own research a little bit more in just a bit. But to give you guys a better idea, we do a variety of different research out at our oceanographic campus with a variety of different labs that you're going to come to get to know. As many of you have been working with me throughout this whole application process and learning a little bit more about the program, of course, one of the things that I try and cover with you all is looking at some of our different research labs. And some of the activities that they get up to over there is going to include anything from like coastal biogeochemistry, deep sea ecology, reef fish ecology, as well as a variety of different coral toxicology or coral-based research. We work in a variety of different environments, both along the southern Florida region and all across the world in various facets. Some of the different faculty that we're going to get to know today. So first and foremost, I wanted to introduce you to some of our different research scientists out here. I'm just quickly going to kind of overview them a little bit as we move along. Later on, if you are interested and if any of these pique, you want to learn a little bit more, I can definitely get you in or give some of their different contact information, and you can reach out and I can supply a little bit more info on their background research through what we have is called the NSU Works repository. Now then, starting from the far left side here, we're going to have Dr. Andrea Bernard, Derek Burkholder, and then Brian Walker. So Dr. Andrea Bernard does research in conservation, population genetics, and marine teleost. Dr. Derek Burkholder over here does a variety of different predator behavioral interaction, but his main duties is actually as one of the directors for what's called the Marine Environmental Education Center. And he works on that, which is actually a facility located just about 3 miles south of the oceanographic campus. So if you're interested in visiting it while you're there, we can definitely put you in touch with their contact info. Really great part about what he does out there is a little bit more of marine environmental education for youth groups. So he gets a lot of the variety of South Florida youth groups from various schools out to his facility. And then Dr. Brian Walker over here runs our GIS and spatial ecology lab, where he does research focuses regarding benthic assessment and habitat mapping. Then some of our other staff, as we'll get to know them. So we have Dr. Joshua Feingold over here, who does research into biological and ecological properties of coral reefs and associated communities. And he's actually one of our undergraduate professors that teaches a variety of some of our different intro-level marine bio courses. But you'll get to see him a lot during the normal school year from fall to winter semester. So if you're ever interested in learning about his research, he's more than happy to discuss that. We have Dr. Joanna Figueiredo in the middle, who runs our marine larval ecology lab. And right now she's actually doing some interesting research regarding coral spawns. So right now she has a variety of about 8 different closed tank systems, and also works with an outdoor setting as well, where she looks into coral polyp spawns a little more closely. And then Dr. Tammy Frank over here runs our deep sea biology lab, where she does a variety of different physiophysiology research, looking at how different deep sea species, specifically more invertebrates, perceive the environment. Then on the left-hand side here, we have Dr. David Gilliam, who runs what's called our CREM lab, which is an acronym for our Coral Reef Assessment, Restoration, and Monitoring Lab. Part of what their whole deal is going to be working with one of our onshore nursery areas, as well as several offshore that are located out in the Bahamas and in Mexico. Dr. Hirons is actually with us here tonight, so I'm going to let her talk about her research a little bit more in just a sec here. We also have Dr. Jeffrey Hawk over here, who's going to be doing research into ecological and conservation regarding restoration efforts of the Everglades. And then likewise, Dr. David Kerstetter is also with us today. So you'll be hearing from both of them in just a little while over here. As we keep going, then we're going to have Dr. Rosanna Milligan in the middle, who runs our research runs one of our labs over on the 5th floor of the Oceanographic campus, running into a variety of different research interests regarding deep sea fish ecology. And she's actually one of several of our faculty members here who help on what's called the Deep End Consortium, which looks at the after effects of the Deep End Horizon oil spill over in the Gulf Coast. Then we're going to have Dr. Alexander Solovev, who runs our physical oceanography lab. And a really neat part of his research is that he gets to collaborate with the U.S. Navy, who's located next door to us. Then we have Dr. Tracy Sutton, who's another member of our Deep End project, running our Oceanic Ecology Lab with research overall on quantitative ecology and structure of the marine ecosystems out there, specifically more so in the pelagic zone. Dr. Timothy Swain here runs our Marine Symbioses Lab, looking into anything from the evolution of functional form and symbiotic associations amongst a variety of microorganisms, including coral polyp spawns and zoanthidians. And then we have Dr. Abigail Renegar, who actually runs 2 of our labs, one in coral toxicology and one in histology. Toxicology, of course, looking into various pollutants, whereas histology more on the cells and tissues. And then finally, we have Dr. Paul Balduff, who is one of our marine geologists right next to Dr. Regal, our department chair. His research will look into anything from geological hazards and Everglades restoration. And a new faculty member that's joined us is Dr. Andrew Bauman, and he's going to be running our Reef Ecology Lab, which conducts most of their research out of the Southeast Asia area, specifically more in the Coral Triangle region. Currently, his lab is still getting set up, but stay tuned if you are interested in looking into reef ecology a little bit more specifically as he gets a little bit more into his lab. All right, so we're going to go over a few different things I wanted to cover regarding the curriculum of our programs out here. First up is our MS in Marine Science. So I've been working with all of you a little bit more. One of the things I always want you to look over is our actual Marine Science program slate. This gives a nice general overview of the program, as well as giving you more specifics as to regards to the course curriculum and overall list. But there has been a recent curriculum change that's in effect. Now, this hasn't been updated on the website yet. We are in the process of getting this done. But now you're still going to have a full 36 credits if you are looking to apply for the MS Marine Science program. But the core requirements has been changed. So it's going to be going from 18 credits down to 9 credits. And then conversely, you're going to have a little bit more elective coursework going up from 12 credits to 21 credits instead. So what this will mean in regards to some of the different courses you take, as you take a look a little bit more specifically, 3 courses are being dropped from the core requirements. So that's going to be MS 50, 20, 30, and 50. These are still going to be offered courses, but more as electives than as your option. As a part of this program, you're going to be required to do either what's called a capstone or thesis project. If you're unfamiliar with these terms, a capstone is more of a scholarly review based on a comprehensive literature search, review, data analysis, and so forth of a chosen topic. This is still going to be under the guidance of a major professor in likewise fashion a thesis is, but a thesis is going to be more kind of an extra step, as it's your original contribution stemming from a systemic study that you'll do with one of our labs out here. Now then, looking a little bit more into the parameters of the program, on average, we do see a full-time student taking anywhere from about 2 to 3 years to complete this program. That'll be a little bit more dependent on some of the different research that you'll be doing with our labs. You're going to have a variety of different laboratory and fieldwork experience across using our own campus and getting out to some of the immediate areas, including our state park. Variety of different concentrations. In the MS Marine Science program, we have 3 different concentrations, including marine biology, marine environmental science, and coastal zone management. And you aren't just limited to just one concentration. If you're interested in looking at the coursework of another concentration, you can work that schedule a little bit more. I would recommend, if you want to go that path, to make sure that you're looking into picking the correct class codes. Emma can assist with that as necessary. All of our courses are taught in person on the Oceanographic campus. You may have some online coursework or some more hybrid coursework, depending on how the year is going, as well as any unplanned foreseen events, such as, say, a tropical storm. Now, regarding that too, in regards to the program curriculum, we're going to be looking at a few different specifics later on, and we're going to get to see that here in just a sec. But I did also want to highlight the MPS Environmental Science program for some of the other interested parties here. This is a little bit different structure in regards to course curriculum. So this is going to be a balance of about 15 credits of core classes. And then you're going to have a little less requirement in regards to some of the different electives, but you'll still be required to take another 15 of those. If you want to be able to choose certain concentration, you do usually need anywhere from 9 to 12 credits, depending on which program you're applying for. The larger difference then in comparison to the MS Marine Science program is that you are not required to do a thesis or capstone project to graduate. So a little bit different of a time span for full-time students. If you were looking to get this done a little bit faster, some have been able to actually get this done in just a little under 2 years. Students are able to take up to 9 credits a semester, but I would recommend conferring with Emma and also looking at your schedule to make sure everything is online and set. Again, all the courses are still going to be taught out at our oceanographic campus with some of the major opportunities through some of our lab and field work. And then finally, of course, our oceanography/marine biology PhD. So we're still in the midst of putting the credit update back on the website, but for those of you that had been unfamiliar beforehand, we had dropped the credit requirement to graduate with a PhD down from 90 to 76 credits. The specific application process for this can take a little bit depending on available funding. Much of this is going to be a large communication between the intended faculty member that you're looking to have an endorsement from in order to do research, and then getting together a larger application package that I'll be working with you on, and we'll discuss here in just a sec. But as part of the PhD program, of course, just with all of our other master's students, you are going to get access to a variety of different e-text and print text into our specific marine environmental science library. We have over 17,000 print volumes as well as 3,600 e-journal subscriptions, and our database is constantly growing. On top of all that, as I was kind of mentioning a little previously, all of you will get access to what's called the NSU Works repository, which is where we actually keep a variety of our own faculty and student works that have been published. And so you're more than actually welcome to check that out now, even as a public citizen. You just may not have as much access as you would as a full admitted student. So then I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Amy Hirons now, and I hope you all enjoyed listening.
Hello, everyone. I would say good evening, but I'm not sure what time zones everyone's in. My name is Dr. Amy Hirons. I'm an oceanographer and professor here at Nova Southeastern University. I am the director of the Charismatic Megafauna and Oceanography Lab, also known as CMOL. Our work focuses largely on large oceanographic questions, usually relating to ocean energy. Now, ocean energy you might think of as strictly currents, waves, tides, and that's the abiotic aspect, which we also take into account when we're looking at biological organisms. So roughly, we're basically using biological organisms to tell us what's going on in the ocean. And those organisms can range anywhere from phytoplankton and seagrasses all the way up to our large megafauna, including marine mammals, large pelagic fishes, seabirds, sea turtles, etc. Our work also ranges from present day to the paleoceanographic concept. So we're actually have studies that use archaeological materials, and we're working our way through the Holocene. Right now, we've gone back about 7,000 years to build reconstruct what the North Pacific Ocean was like. My work has ranged all 5 ocean basins on the planet and pole to pole. So that means that we have research that runs from the Arctic to the Antarctic. We work as close as Port Everglades, right outside our door here at the Oceanographic Center. And we work as far away as basically any continent you can think of in any water mass. So if you have any further questions, feel free to contact me.
Thanks so much, Dr. Hirons. I'm going to turn it over now to Dr. David Kerstetter.
Great, thanks for the opportunity to speak with you all tonight. So my name is David Kerstetter. I run the Fisheries and Avian Ecology Lab. Bit of a strange combination, perhaps. My background is generally fisheries biology, including everything from traditional age growth and diet analyses, all the way up to trophic ecology through things like stable isotope biogeochemistry with Dr. Hirons. We do electronic tagging of large marine fishes. And since about 2010, we've also been working on some of the aspects of seabird ecology in Southeast Florida, particularly as how it relates to the local ecosystems. Like Dr. Hirons, my lab works throughout the world. We have a number of collaborations in South America, as well as throughout the Caribbean, and have in our lab everything from undergraduates all the way up to graduate students. So it's a pretty active place. One thing that I would like to emphasize is that the faculty at NSU tends to be very collaborative. So I've been working with Dr. Hirons since I got to the OC in 2007. We have several ongoing projects together. We co-advise students, but the same thing happens with a lot of other faculty, particularly the fish-related faculty, Dr. Sutton, Dr. Milligan, but also the coral reef ecologists. So at the graduate level, you're going to have several other faculty members on your committees, and it's often a very interesting and fun collaborative process. So as Dr. Hirons said, I'm happy to answer questions for students, or feel free to reach out to me individually. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Dr. Kerstetter. All right, so now we're going to get into the specifics of the application requirements, deadlines, and so forth. So looking into the MS Marine Science program, and this actually applies to the MPS and PhD programs as well. We do offer rolling admissions. So we review students for every single term during the academic year, being the fall, winter, and summer term. If at any point you're unsure if you can meet the deadlines for the next incoming application, please let me know. We do have options that we can discuss. We'll just have to see how far along you are in your application process. But looking into the MS Marine Science program, the upcoming winter 2023 deadline that most of you are applying for is going to be November 15th. That's next week, Tuesday. If you're having any issues whatsoever getting in your materials, please let me know so that we can plan accordingly. But for then, any of you that are looking into summer 2023, it was going to be April 15th, followed by fall 2023, looking to be July 15th. For the application itself, you're going to be submitting the NSU specific graduate application along with a $50 application fee. But I am happy to announce that every student that has participated today's open house will receive an application fee waiver later on that I'll send in an email. If you're having any issues with that, please let me know so we can troubleshoot it. Then we're going to be looking to submit all of your official transcripts from any of your higher education institutions. And I do mean every single one. If I get your transcript, it does list if you've been to another institution, and I will have to come and email you and ask to get the separate transcript. So please just go ahead and submit all of those at the same time. Makes the application process run a little bit more smoothly. Then you're going to be submitting 2 letters of recommendation. Ideally, we like to see these at least one coming from an academic source, but preferably both being academic sources. For any of our currently dual enrolled students at NSU's undergrad, you are going to be required to submit 3 letters of recommendation. If you have any questions regarding formatting or anything like that, feel free to contact me. Letters of recommendation must be written on their organization letterhead. So if they were from Nova Southeastern University, it must have their letterhead on it and so forth. And just for the uploading purpose, as you send out the recommendation requests, it is just a little bit easier if the letter itself is like a Word document or PDF. And that's just because for whatever reason, the other file types don't work well with the uploading process. And so we'll only end up getting the completed form and not the actual letter. Then there's going to be a personal statement that you're going to do within the application itself that is going to be a little bit of an explanation why you're interested in the program, some of your career goals, and what you're looking to get out of it, and so forth. Finally, we are looking for at least a 2.85 cumulative GPA in order to apply. Dual enrollment students, for your knowledge, if you are already not aware, you do need to keep at least a cumulative and science GPA of a 3.0. We also do require a set of prerequisite courses for either the MPS program or the Marine Science Masters. That's going to consist of Bio 1 and 2 with lab, Chemistry 1 with lab, Calculus 1, Biostatistics or Applied Statistics, and then a Science elective. If at any point you're unsure if the course will be acceptable, feel free to send me a copy of the course syllabi and we can have the department review it for transferability. Now then, for the MPS program, it's actually going to be the exact same application materials. There is a little bit of difference in some of the requirements for what we're looking at in a candidate. For the MPS Environmental Science program, we're looking for at least a cumulative 2.75 GPA. Instead of the 2.85 for MS Marine Science. I will say, though, the average candidate for most of you here is looking to be at least a 3.0. We're looking for a stronger candidate, but of course, we're still going to take a look at everything that the application has to offer. So if you have really good connections with some of your faculty members, done some wonderful experience and some of your past job endeavors, definitely talk about that in your personal essay. Letters of recommendations can go a wonderful way as well. If at any point you'd like to discuss this more with me, we can set up a private meeting as well. And then for any of you that are interested in applying for the PhD program, same thing as far as admissions deadlines. So again, will be fall, winter, and summer as our applicable terms. Going to be the same deadlines as I stated beforehand. But specifically, the application process for this is a little bit more lengthy, and we'll of course, be working in this in tandem. So I know I saw the question earlier about the GRE requirement. We are currently still waiving the GRE through the fall 2023 period. We still have to just decide real quick. I will not say real quick. I still have to discuss with the department their formal decision on whether or not the GRE will return past the fall 2023 term. However, for the PhD in oceanography, it is still required that you submit the GRE score. You will also be submitting 3 letters of recommendation, as well as your resume and a pre-proposal of the research. But the key item for the PhD application is that you are required to get a faculty letter of support from one of the NSU HCAS faculty out here. I'm currently working with both Dr. Kerstetter and Dr. Hirons. Very fortunate to have them on our team working with all of our students. So definitely take advantage of them being present here today if you have questions for them. Now moving specifically then into some general deadlines, just to let you guys see it one more time. So as general applications for all the programs here, winter 23 is November 15th. Summer 23 is April 15th, and fall 23 is July 15th. Now then, for those of you who haven't actually gotten the chance to start the application, I did want to get the chance to actually walk you guys through this a little bit and what you're going to be seeing once you get in. So you are required to create an account with us before you can go ahead and actually start the application. Once you've set all of that up, what you're going to find is the account overview, which is displayed here. This is going to have all your different interested programs that you have selected upon initially creating the account, and any other sort of possible events that we at NSU are hosting that may be of interest to you. So in regards to what we're looking at for the application here, if you're ever having any issues trying to locate your application or get access to it, there is a helpline that is located on the overview page, but I also have it listed on the slide here. Just best to email them at the help@nova.edu, but we also do have a 1-800 helpline as well. Now then, as we get into the actual application, the first portion where it's just going to be some general information, so biographical info, first name, last name, address, and so forth. One of the things that we do recommend, though, is as you put in your contact information, do double check that this is up-to-date contact info. Many times students who have just been graduating from their undergraduate institution still have access to their school email. But after a certain period of time, some of them may lose access to that. So we recommend you use a personal email rather than an institutional one when you set up your account, as well as when you supply the information on the application itself. If you do ever have any issue that you catch later on in the application, do let us know. Most of the times we can just go back and manually edit ourselves, or we're able to go ahead and give you access to resubmit that info. Now then, looking into the specifics, academic-based information, we want to make sure that you're putting in the correct information and the correct entry term. In worst case scenarios, if for whatever reasons, let's say that you were applying here for winter 2023, and then you found out it probably wasn't going to be a good time for you to start, you can defer your application up to a year past your original anticipated entry term. So for those that applied to winter 2023, you could defer it as far as winter 2024. Past that point, you would be required to create a new application and repay the $50 associated fee. But if at any point you catch this in the midst of it, you can let us know and we can work on a solution to get you all set. Now then, going into the actual prior college information for any of our applicants here that have yet to complete their undergraduate degree, please remember that we're going to need at least your first semester grades posted on your transcript before we can review you for the program. This is just necessary because of our accrediting body policies in order to get you properly reviewed. In reference to how this is going to be done, so we actually are going to require your institution to be the ones to send it to us, not you as the student. Just for verification purposes, we have to do it this way. So you're going to have to work with your institution's Office of the Register or whichever office is handling your transcript submissions, and that would be to be requested to send to us. We can have them received via email. So to the electronic transcript at nova.edu, which is here at the bottom of the slide. You can have them send it there, or if for whatever reason they can't send it via email, we do also accept it through normal mail, and I can always send you the mailing address as necessary. Now then, for any of our foreign applying students here, if you have attended any non-US institution, we do require it to be evaluated for US equivalency. You can do this through a member of the National Association of Credential Evaluation Services, or we do also accept evaluations from World Evaluation Services. This also likewise fashion must be sent through the credential evaluation company, not you as the student. We can accept them from you as a student, but it will be considered an unofficial copy, which cannot be used for the review process. Then we're going to be getting into the supplemental item side. So that's going to be a general information regarding the application itself. And now we're looking into some of the supplemental items. So there's two separate tabs. As you take a look at the photo on screen, you can see there's the review portion and then what I was just discussing. So as you go and submit the application, it's going to pull you to this next window and where you can track the supplemental items progress. For items such as the letters of recommendation and official transcripts, you can watch the submission status, but you don't have the ability to upload them yourself. If you were interested in submitting a resume, we can accept that with the application, but please just understand that since it's not a required item for the application, it does not hold as much weight in the review process, but it is still taken under consideration. But what we're going to be looking at here is where you're going to have the actual portal system to be sending out letters of recommendation and tracking all of your incoming items. We work with what's called enrollment processing services to go ahead and process any documents that is submitted over to us for our applications. Letters of recommendation are going to work through an automated system where once you submit your application, you can send out requests through the below section that you see on the screen here, and you'll just have to supply your recommender's email. They get sent an automated message from NSU with further instructions on how they can submit the letter. Once that's been submitted and sent back, you can go ahead and check it underneath here in the portal to see if it's been received. It usually does auto update, but if for whatever reason your recommender did not get the email, or you're having some sort of issue getting it sent out, you can have your recommender send their letter directly to me. We just need to make sure that you're still following all the formatting that I outlined prior and that they are stipulating which student it's for. All right, so for those of you that are looking into the cost of attendance here a little bit more, for our master's level programs, which means our master's of marine science and our master's of professional science, or excuse me, in environmental science, we're on a per credit hour basis of about 1,444 per credit hour. For students that are in the MS program, you're going to be looking at around 51,000 in total for tuition costs, whereas MPS, you're going to be looking at around 43 to 45. Now, then for those looking in the PhD program, it's structured a little bit differently as it goes on a per term basis for the tuition costs. So for per term, it's going to be about 13,479. And then over the course of one calendar year, you will accumulate about $1,800 in associated fees. And this is more so for your student services fee, which is going to be the over-encompassing fee that helps pay for all the different equipment, resources, technology, and everything under the sun that you're going to get access to as a student, whether it be some of the software programming and our computers in the library, getting access to using some of our wet lab equipment up in the teaching vestibule area on the 5th floor, or working in some of our different labs specifically designed for more academic-based usage. And then, of course, getting access to facilities on the main campus as well. Now, we do have financial aid opportunities. Of course, we do recommend all of our students to submit the FAFSA so they may get access to government-backed grants or loan possibilities. We do also have a variety of different scholarships and paid positions that students may be interested in. First and foremost, just so that everyone knows, you must first be admitted into a program at NSU before you can start applying for any of our graduate scholarships. We do offer a variety, as you look on the link that's posted here on the slide, about 2 different categories for scholarships and then another one for paid positions. We have our institutional scholarships, which is open for the general graduate programs here at NSU. And then we have the HCAS scholarships, which are specifically for students that are enrolled in graduate programs underneath the Halmos College of Arts and Sciences. Just to name a few over here, we have like our Coral Reef Scholarship, our Bachelor Scholarship, as well as our NSU Fishing Tournament Scholarship, in fact. And I know I do get a lot of questions about graduate assistantships. We do offer teaching assistantships and research assistantships on a limited basis. These may not be available every single term, as it's going to be based off of availability in regards to, say, lab funding, as well as working with the schedule of students that have been here, say, already a couple of years and maybe matriculating outwards. A little bit of a differentiation. So the teaching assistantship can supply up to a $5,000 scholarship on a per term basis, as well as an hourly wage. Whereas a research assistantship will usually offer a tuition discount, which can range anywhere from 50 to 80% off tuition for master's level students. Generally speaking, they usually do require the student to have been working in that position for at least 6 months before they can qualify to receive the tuition discount. And you will still, of course, get an hourly wage as well. Now, the paid position section that is posted here on the scholarships page is more of an informational section. In likewise fashion, you must first be admitted before you can apply for any paid position as well. And of course, we would love for you guys to follow us on social media. Majority of our platforms, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, is generally going to be NSU HCAS, but we are also on LinkedIn and on YouTube. If for whatever reason later on you did want to reference tonight's information, we are going to have this recorded and posted onto YouTube. So be on the lookout for that. You can follow us along. We do a lot of really cool events such as virtual lecture series where we bring in some of our current or past students as well as our faculty, and they get a little bit more information to you about some of the different research that they're conducting here on the campus. So now I'd like to introduce you guys to one of our current students doing research out at the Oceanographic campus, Elizabeth Seraph.
Hi, everyone. I'm Elizabeth, and it is my first semester here at Nova. A little bit of background about me. I'm originally from Buffalo, New York, but I grew up knowing that I wanted to study the ocean, and we all know there's no ocean access in Buffalo. So I did my undergrad degree at the University of Rhode Island, and then I took a gap year, and now I'm here at Nova. So currently I am an NSF Fellow recipient, and what this is the National Science Foundation GRFP. And if you haven't already, you should definitely check it out and consider applying, because this fellowship actually does provide funding for either your master's or PhD program, which is incredible. And inherently, then you have more freedom to kind of define your research experience. So you can apply next year. So I'm using my fellowship to study shark sensory biology in Dr. Mahmood Shivji's lab. Specifically, I'm looking at how environmental cues influence or assist navigation of sharks in multiple species in highly directional pelagic movements. I don't have any answers yet, but I could talk your ear off about it. But just give me 2 years and I'll tell you why. I'll explain it all, I hope. One thing that I just absolutely love about NSU is that it is a non-traditional grad program. And I think that really enables the student to embrace the learning environment. So day one in traditional grad programs, you have to walk in the door knowing your research program, and that's your research question. You have to know what environment you're going to be studying. And I think that puts a lot of pressure and kind of hinders the student. But here at NSU, you're allowed to have that time to have conversations with your professors or different researchers or even other students about what they're studying or looking into, and then that can help guide you find your own research question. And it's something that you actually love, and you actually like took the time to define it. And I think that's great. Like Dr. Kerstetter was saying, this is a really open community and very supportive. I remember my first day walking down, I was nervous, of course, but then like a stranger smiled at me and I was like, oh, everyone's welcoming and everyone wants to chat about what they're doing. And it's just very encouraging to be part of this campus. So it is my first semester, but it's amazing that I've already crossed a lot off of my bucket list because of Nova and the surrounding area. The Student Government Association, shout out to Andrew, put on a shark tagging trip that anyone could go on, and we caught a hammerhead, and that was the first time I seen a hammerhead, and my parents were actually like freaking out, but it was great. And you can do that too, and I hope you do. And also it's very important that the surrounding area of NSU is great and you're always busy. So I went shark diving with some lemon sharks just on a Saturday, and you'll be very familiar and comfortable with the area. So I hope you come here. But if you have any questions about my research or the graduate program or the NSF GRFP, I'm all yours. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Elizabeth. And then I'm going to turn it over to my coworker, Andrew Gebner.
Hey everybody. As Teddy said, my name's Andrew Gebner. Thank you, Teddy, for the introduction. So who am I? I am a second-year graduate student in the Marine Sciences program. When I first was looking for different programs, my original thought was, where exactly can I go that'll be next to the ocean? And when I found NSU, I knew I'd found my home because the campus is literally 100 feet away from the ocean. So there's always access to water, there's access to boats, you'll be able to actually immerse yourself in the whole experience. And I think it's pretty unique. Additionally, I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to study. Like I had an idea of what I wanted to study when I came in, but I didn't have a research advisor. I didn't have a question in mind on what to talk about. So my first semester here, I just went to classes, I learned people, I learned about everything that I possibly could. What does this research professor do? What does that one do? What do the labs do? And eventually, one of my classes that I took my first semester was ichthyology, and I already had an interest in fish, and the professor teaching it was Dr. Tracy Sutton. He runs the Oceanic Ecology Lab, and I really liked what he was doing, so that's where I'm at now. So what we do is we study deep sea ecology. We study the fish down deep where down the mesopelagic, where there's not a lot of light, about 1% of the surface light to 0% of the surface light. And we study the fish, mostly quantitative studies. So my project is on marine hatchetfish. There's about 78 species currently known about them. There are a few different shapes, but mostly they kind of look like a hatchet. They're nice and silvery. They're about yay long at most. Most of them are pretty small. But what they do is they feed a lot of the other fish. So you've heard of tuna, you've heard of sailfish, you've heard of marlins, things like that. All of those will go down and dive deep, and they'll eat the fish that I'm studying. So understanding how many fish are down there is pretty important. So what I'm doing is I'm studying vertical distribution, so where they're at in the water column and the relative abundance that they have there. Additionally, I am the president of the Student Government Association, and so not everything that you're going to do here is school, because we'd like you to have a life and have, kind of a well-rounded experience here. So what I do with the SGA is I offer different experiences like shark tagging, like happy hours, where we go to a bar and we just talk to each other so we can connect. You can really get to know different students or different professors depending on who's there. So it's a great campus, it's a great program, and I hope you come out and join us. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Andrew. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and open it up for questions. I know a few of you have already been putting a few in the chat right now. If you had any specific questions for any of our faculty or our students here, feel free to just say so in the Q&A. Or if you even would like to speak, I can go ahead and check and see if you'd like to raise your hand, and we can let you do that.
And
So-
we're happy. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I just saw one of the questions come in here. Can you apply to NSU for the thesis track masters without having been accepted into a lab, or do you have to connect with an advisor beforehand? So NSU's MS Marine Science program is structured a little bit differently. You are not required to be in a lab upon entry into the program. We still do advise that you start to reach out to some of our faculty members just to get familiar with some of their research. I know Dr. Kerstetter and Dr. Hirons both usually try and give them a little better idea if they reach out about what they do in their research, but they're usually pretty straightforward about whether or not they will have availability coming up in their labs. Now, in reference to that, you are given the first 2 semesters in our program to get to know the faculty and get adjusted to the program before you'd be required to choose one of our major advisors. Now, in regards to whether or not you'd be going on the thesis or capstone track, that's kind of sculpted as you work with your major advisor on your research and get it down to more specifics later on. But if you're gung-ho about going one option or the other, I would definitely let Emma know, just so that she can kind of give you a better idea about what the timeline would look like for that. So what were the prerequisites for the MS program? So just to reiterate that one more time, and I will be getting this added to the website as well. I do apologize. The prerequisites will include biology 1 and 2 with lab, chemistry 1 with lab, calculus 1, biostatistics or applied statistics, as well as a science elective. And that could be anything from, say, anatomy and physiology, geology, say, genetics, anything along that lines. Let's see. I know we're having a couple people. Any advice for undergraduate students? So for undergrads, if you still have, say, a little bit more time before you are going to be applying, I would definitely just start to learn a little bit more about the various faculty, whether that be over here at the Oceanographic campus or externally anywhere else in the world. Getting to know some of the research a little bit more, and then just sending out a nice casual email. Introduce yourself, maybe supply a little bit more info about your own background and then some of your interests within that faculty member's research, and then just be straight up front. I'm looking to do some work with you. I want to apply for the program. Do you have any availability coming up in the coming months, years, semesters, however how long you're looking for? Getting that conversation going earlier on is going to be to your benefit as you get to know them a little bit more, or you get to know just more faculty in general, so you can get a better idea about where availability is. I just had a question here. Is the coursework prerequisites for the PhD program the same as the MS program? Yes, but it's more in kind of the steps you have to get to the PhD program. So we do require a master's program to have been done beforehand. And most of the time, whether it be here or another university, they usually do have a set requirement of coursework or even just overall major that they're looking for when you're going into your graduate level degree. So most of the time, if you're coming from another institution having done a master's program and looking into our PhD, usually will have taken those classes anyways. But we're more so looking at what I outlined before as the application materials, and also looking for, generally speaking, at least like a 3.5 cumulative for a master's program. GPA, excuse me. One other question we have is it helpful to be scuba certified as a first year in the master's program? And I'm just going to say it depends. It depends on what you're going to be trying to do as far as work. We do have many students that do not come in with scuba certifications. In some cases, you don't need them. If you were to say be working with Dr. Figueiredo with our marine larval ecology lab, most of your work is going to entail either working in the indoor setting at her specific lab, or you may be just outside at the onshore nursery and you don't have any real reason to go out into the water. Because everything is done within closed lab work over there. Whereas, say, Dr. David Gilliam's lab, the CREM lab, they're responsible for doing a variety of different coral reef rehabilitation work. So they're constantly going out to various zones all throughout the South Florida area. If you are interested in doing any of that, I know I've seen a couple questions about scuba certifications. We do offer those courses over on the main campus. Later on, that's ran by our aquatics division. And we do offer both certifications going all the way down on, and this is PADI certifications for the most part, for any of you wondering with that too, going all the way from just beginner levels all the way up to instructor levels. So how important is it to the decision process in having pertinent prior research? We look at all of our students' applications in an holistic approach. So we're trying to take a look at everything that they have offered and put on the plate in regards to the application. Having prior research experience is a wonderful thing to have under your belt, especially as you're getting to know some of our faculty members and looking for possible opportunities to work in one of our labs. In regards to the decision process of the application, I would say that having that experience there does definitely help. We have had students in the past who come from a completely different background, but have taken our prerequisite courses, which is our basis for applications outside of the rest of the materials that I've listed out. So I think it's something that you can do a lot more with an explanation of, say, your personal experiences within the essay, as well as what you can perhaps work with your recommenders on to be able to discuss more, as they obviously are going to be knowing you a little bit more personally. whether it be on the professional level or the academic level. We do like to see that as well. So it definitely does not hurt, all in all. It's are there employment opportunities for the PADI Dive Masters, the academic diving program? I'm unfortunately not aware whether or not they do or do not. That would be something you'd have to discuss with our aquatics director, Thomas Clark. If you want his contact information, feel free to reach out to me. I will put my email here in the chat if you guys do not already have it.
To help out with that one, there is an academic diving program here, and they usually do accept PADI scuba divers or master divers, dive masters, so because we do have that dive club and they like to teach classes as well. So they do have openings for that usually on a semester basis. But once you're in, they keep hiring you until you don't want to be there. One thing they do require though is when you get there, they will make you go through a semester-long teaching of just a dive master class. You're just going to shadow that class, and then if you're good, then they'll hire you at the end of it.
Thanks for hopping in there, Andrew. Appreciate it. One of the other questions that we have here are admissions decisions sent out all at once or sent out separately, depending on when the application was received due to rolling admissions. It's going to be the latter. So we review applications again on a rolling basis. So it's going to be dependent on when you get in all of your application materials. For those of you that may be looking to apply past the winter 2023 term, please understand for about the next week to 3 weeks here, you may have to wait just a little bit to hear back, as we are going to be processing most of our winter 2023 applications first. We will do our best, of course, to get everyone reviewed in a timely fashion. Generally speaking, the application review takes about 5 to 10 business days for the review process. Once the decision has been made by the department, we will be informed, and then I will be sending out your decision letters with any next applicable steps via email. So again, all the more important to make sure that you have a working email that is usually, or at least preferably, not a past institution, just because we want to make sure that we're still able to contact you later on if we need anything else. So one last question. I know we've held you all here for just a little while here. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me via email, phone call. We can even set up Zoom meetings. But one last question I have in regards to the doctorate program. Is it $13K per term over a quarterly set? So it's on a per semester basis. So we have 3 semesters in one academic year. So for one full academic year, you would be looking closer, yes, to about 50,000, give or take. On average, just for about the 13,000 and some change for the per term basis. So there's 3 terms in one academic year. All right, I'll ask, this is a pretty quick one, and then I hope everyone, thank you for coming. So is it possible to do the marine science MS and the MPS at the same time? No, you would have to be in one or the other. We do allow students to transfer over from the MS Marine Science program into the MPS program, but we do not allow students from the MPS program to transfer into the MS Marine Science program. Good question. All right. Thank you all so much for coming tonight. Really great questions. I hope you all were able to learn a little bit more about us here at Nova Southeastern University. Thanks again to all of our professors and our students that were able to give us a little more insight into our programs today. If you have anything else that you'd like to discuss with us, or if you think of anything afterwards, feel free to reach out to our team. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Friday and a wonderful weekend.